Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Todd Stewart, ASC's Vice President of Public Art, and I'd like to welcome you all to the ASC Mecklenburg County Long Creek Greenway Pre-Submittal meeting. Tonight's meeting is being recorded. You should have received a prompt. So just so you know, we do that so that we can share this on our website with anyone that was not able to attend but would like this information. I'd like to give a shout out to my colleague, Randella Foster, ASC's Program Director of Public Art, as well as Mecklenburg County Park and Rec Senior Planner, Katie Lloyd, who's joining us tonight. I'm going to be admitting people into the meeting throughout this, so sorry if I have to take a break every now and then to do that. All right, first a couple of housekeeping measures. If everyone would please mute your audio. It's okay whether you want to keep your camera on or off. We don't mind either way. But while folks are presenting or asking questions, if you could please just hit the microphone icon located here to mute yourselves and unmute yourselves if you need to ask questions. If you have a question that comes up throughout the presentation, feel free to hit the reaction button, then raise hand, and that'll alert myself or Brandella that you have a question or a comment, and we'll try to notice that and call on you. You can also use the chat feature. That'll pull up a text option to where you can write any questions or comments that we can get to later. There will be time for questions and answers at the end of today's presentation. First, a little bit about ASC. ASC's been involved in public art project management since 1992. In 2002 and 2003, the City of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County each adopted their own separate public art ordinances. And these ordinances allocate 1% of designated eligible project construction dollars through the capital improvement programs for each city and county to the creation of some form of public art that accompanies either the specific projects in which they're funded from or that geographic region in which the projects exist in. In that ordinance, ASC is responsible for the management of the program for the county, the city, and through the city, Charlotte Douglas International Airport. What that looks like is ASC is a nonprofit, undergoes planning, working with project managers, planners, county and city officials to figure out which eligible projects would work best for each fiscal year, what the scope should be. We go through artist selection, which I'll talk about that in a little bit, contracting with the artists, and then community engagement is a requirement for each of our projects. And then ASC is involved in the facilitation of design, fabrication, and installation of the artworks with Public Art Commission oversight. And I'll describe that commission a little more later as well. I'm proud to say that we've accomplished 189 projects to date. That is city, county, and some private projects. And the map to your right is a bit outdated, but it'll give you a good overview of how those are scattered throughout the county. All of this was done through a public art master plan that was accomplished prior to 2002 with the help of community representatives, elected officials, and city and county representatives. And in that public art master plan, we state that public art serves as a catalyst for connectivity, bonding people to a place and one another, generating a greater sense of pride and responsibility for places that enhance the quality of life and celebrate communities' unique attributes. That goes into ASC's mission of culture for all, and we take it very seriously. So, artist selection. ASC accomplishes this through numerous ways. Similarly to the call to artists that went out for the Long Creek Greenway opportunity, which we're all here to talk about, we release requests for qualifications or RFQs. Those are opportunities for artists to apply based on their precedent projects and abilities and skill sets, and be selected to kind of hit the ground without any proposal done and beforehand. We also, from time to time, when we have a very specific goal in mind, and it works with the scheduling, we'll release requests for proposals or RFPs. It's a little more labor intensive in the upfront in terms of working with artists to get their concepts developed, but it can expedite the process some, and we just don't do it as often as RFQs. Before, I mentioned the Public Art Commission, or PAC. That is a 9-member volunteer community board that's comprised of appointees from the city of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, and ASC. They are responsible for commissioning artists for the Percent for Art ordinance, as well as oversight of the various design phases for each project, and eventually accepting the works into the collection of either City of Charlotte or Mecklenburg County. As part of their duties, each Public Art Commissioner at some time in their tenure on that commission serves as chair for our artist selection panels. And those panels are comprised of art and design professionals, community and stakeholder representatives. And for our RFQs and RFPs, we have 2 artist selection panel meetings. First meeting is to select 3 to 5 finalists from eligible applicants. And then those finalists are invited to interview for the commission. And the PAC chair overseeing the process brings the artist selection panel's recommendations to the Public Art Commission for a formal vote. So as a representative of ASC, I don't really get a say in who our artists are. That is to our voting panelists of art and design professionals and community reps. But you know, we do make those recommendations to PAC, and they formally approve it. The criteria in which we look through applicants and judge them on is originality and creativity of past work, exemplary technical competence, comparable scale of past work, professional qualifications and experience, and consistent quality and production of artwork. Community engagement is not only required, but it's a critical and essential part of our public art process. We do that through a myriad of means. We involve community members in our art selection process. And then from time to time, we ask that our artists check in with appointed community groups, neighborhood associations, stakeholder groups, to dialogue with them, to run ideas by them, to involve them in the design process, or sometimes even the making of the work. Typically, artists involve the community groups in between the concept proposal and the schematic design phase. That way, there's something concrete to share with the communities to get feedback and to guide the development of an artwork or a concept. Often we'll begin the process with some community meetings as well, just for inspiration and ideation and research to help the creative juices flow. When possible, we partner with our city and county partners for inclusion of the artists in larger public meetings. We're not going to have that opportunity with the Long Creek Greenway project. Learn a little bit about that later, but ASC will help the commission artists to facilitate those community engagement meetings. If you have any questions that come to you later, or that you would just like to ask later about the overall public art program, ASC in general, the specific process, please feel free to reach out to myself or Randella. Our contact information is here. We're always available via email. You can catch us on the phone from roughly like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, most weekdays. You can also go to our website at www.artsandScience.org for all information about ASC, with specific pull downs for the public art program, and then another drop down for calls to artists, where you'll see all our current and open RFQs, RFPs, and other opportunities for artists to apply. And I hope you'll follow us on Facebook and Instagram at ASC Charlotte to learn about all the great work that ASC is doing in the city and Mecklenburg County's cultural community. So now the specific details of the Long Creek Greenway project. I'm going to go through this briefly. A lot of this was covered in the RFQ if you've had a chance to read that, but I will be able to expand on some of that. So our site is 9841 Northlake Center Parkway. We're working with a budget of $131,750 to cover all artist fees, design, engineering, testing, fabrication, permitting, installation, basically everything. This budget is finite. It is through the 1% for Art ordinance. So we just need to make sure that we're not exceeding that in any way, but it does need to cover everything to get this project pulled off and be successful. In terms of the background of the project, the site itself, Long Creek Greenway is located in northwest Mecklenburg County. It follows Long Creek. It's a watershed of 55+ miles of perennial streams stretching from the Northlake Mall, or I-77, to the Catawba River. And Long Creek is named after Revolutionary War Captain John Long. It is home to multiple historic sites, including the Alexandriana Historic Site and the Long Creek Mill ruins. And it's also part of the Carolina Thread Trail. Construction of Long Creek Greenway is done in 3 phases. Phase 1 connects I-77 to Trayburn Drive with a greenway access point at Northlake Parkway Center. That's our site, so it's complete. The second phase will extend the Greenway Trail to south of Betty's Ford Road at I-45. And it's currently scheduled to be complete in early 2024. And phase 3 will extend the Greenway Trail south to Oakdale Road and should be complete in 2025. And there's a link within this presentation for more information on the overall project and construction of that. I will point out, we're calling this and referring to this project as Long Creek Greenway. The specific section where our site is located for this project is known as a Dixon Branch. So it's kind of a branch off of Long Creek proper, but we'll continue to refer to it as Long Creek Greenway since it will feed into and serve the Greenway system as kind of an unofficial trailhead. This is a specific aerial view of the site for phase 1 that we're considering, that Dixon Branch portion that I just described. You can find this on Polaris 3G online. That's Mecklenburg County's GIS mapping system. The easiest way to do it is to type in target at Northlake, or and it'll pop up, or Dixon Branch, and it'll send you to this aerial view. So the selected artists will have the opportunity to create a freestanding artwork to be sited in the designated space between the vehicular roadway and the Greenway Trail. So as I said, this serves kind of as an unofficial trailhead. So we're hoping to announce this entrance through an artwork. So although I won't consider it solely a piece of wayfinding, it is something that should be pronounced within the landscape. It could serve as a landmark, but should be integrated into a way that it feels at home and makes sense. It's going to be highly visible to vehicular traffic and pedestrians. And the commission artist team will collaborate with the design team consisting of the Arts and Science Council staff. That's myself and Randella, Mecklenburg County staff, planners and project managers. And the location and the scope of the artwork will be determined by the project design team in concert with input from the selected artist or artist team. So although there's some areas that I've scoped out, that Randella scoped out, that we worked with our county teammates to kind of determine what we're thinking, bringing an artist into the fold on these types of projects, often artists know best in terms of how their own work, their own vision, their own way, a sensibility and approach to these types of projects could work. So we're open to that, and we have some different options to play with. But for now, just consider this the overall site in which we're working in. The artwork should achieve a cohesive and unique aesthetic experience and be distinguished from and sensitive to the Long Creek Greenway and surrounding areas. That's just a way of saying that it should stand out, it should be noticeable, it should be its own thing, yet it should play well with others and be part of the larger picture of what the county is trying to achieve with its greenway system. Some other criteria we'll be looking at in terms of a successful project. The artwork should take inspiration and potentially reference the greenway experience. This could be its history, the ecology, the flora and fauna of the region, and then also the health and wellness activities that the greenway system presents. Be highly visible and sited within the area designated for the opportunity. Be integrated into overall design, possibly become a distinguishing landmark, and be constructed of durable materials and permanent in nature. The anticipated installation for this artwork is, late fall, early winter 2024. Here is another view of the map of Long Creek Greenway in its entirety. The Dixon Branch trailhead section that we're looking at is highlighted up here in red. Phase 1 is the red lines that you see. That's the construction that is completed tonight. Phase 2, phase 3 in blue. Another map, I'm going to have a detail of this later, but this will give you a sense of the overall greenway system, its proximity to other preserves and parks. And here we're in the inverse, so the highlighted yellow version down here is the trailhead in the Dixon Branch section. So you can see how it connects into and runs along, or is at least adjacent to 485 and 24. Here's a detailed view of that aerial view I showed earlier. You can see it's quite serpentine and how it switches back here. There is a boardwalk that starts from here, going over like a marsh wetlands that goes into a tunnel, pedestrian tunnel underneath this interstate. And then here's some photos from the site. So this is that first major switchback, standing on the higher ground at the trailhead. So the Target shopping center is behind us. There's a huge shopping complex, Northlake Center, Plaza, Parkway there. Here it is from the side. And here it is looking from the middle of that switchback. There's some safety fencing since there is some grade change in elevation going down to the boardwalk. And then here's the boardwalk itself. And you can see, I mean, this is because it's a greenway and it follows Long Creek and there's stream restoration occurring there as well. It is kind of a wetlands marsh area. It does flood. So in a sense of it being of durable materials and permanent, if something does, if we choose a site that gets closer to this floodplain, you know, in a lower elevation, it will definitely need to consider major flood events and how it holds up to that, whatever's designed. I'm going to turn it over to Rendella now. She's going to go over for some helpful tips on how to apply for the commission. And then we will turn it over for some questions after that. So if you got any questions, just write them down, put them in the chat, keep them in your head, and we'll get to those in just a minute. Rendella, you ready?
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to share a few helpful tips, things that we've noticed over the years with applications and thought, hey, maybe we should share some of these findings to help you guys as you apply for future commissions. So the first thing in red, start early. Don't wait until the last, until the deadline to apply. It never works out. If you're in the middle of your application at 11:59 p.m. on the date of the deadline, it won't let you submit once you finish. So you can start early, work on it a little bit, come back to it, you know, it'll save it for you. So I really encourage you to start early and apply early. Regarding your letter of interest or your video of interest, 1-page letter or a 2-minute video, we encourage you to express your interest in the project. What are your interests as an artist? Of course, mention any relevant experience you have with public art or community projects and draw connections with those particular projects. Also discuss your process for conceptual development, designing, and fabricating work, just basically in general. If you have experience creating site-specific work, provide examples of that. Indicate whether you're comfortable involving communities in your artistic process. Of course, that's extremely important with public art. And again, provide an example of that. We also want you to indicate the ways a viewer may experience your work up close and from a distance. And then of course, close with why you think you would be the artist for the commission. We do have an example, Stacey Utley, who worked with Edmund Harris on the 5 Points Plaza, allowed us to share his statement of interest with you all. It was an excellent statement of interest. He hit those points that I discussed previously. You know, why is this of interest? He talked about their background, the team that would be working on the project. He drew those connections with how he's worked on previous projects, and he provided examples. Those were images he showed in the portfolio. to help us show, like, so these projects have similar goals as this project. And we're prepared to be able to make an impactful artwork for this particular commission. Next slide. And this is his CV. So you do have the option of providing either a CV resume or biography. So of course that resume or CV is going to include all of your art related work experience, starting with your most recent, just a chronological order of everything. But in our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, we're looking at how we can include more people. Perhaps you're a self-taught artist, you don't have a degree in art, but you have the experience, right? So you could actually, instead of that CV or resume, you could select an art project that you worked on and talk about that project and actually hit some of those bullet points that I discussed previously about how you work with community, what your approach was. And that gives you an opportunity to also share how you could be the best person for this particular commission. And just over to the right is an example of his CV, very clean, concise, to the point. You see, he talked a little bit about his background and some project experience and his education, et cetera, on the left. Very clean and concise. We like that. Next slide. And so portfolio images, of course, are extremely important. We recommend that you select artwork from your portfolio that aligns with the project goals, right? Show us how you have experience with that particular project, if you do have that experience. Image quality is also extremely important. We want those images to be clear and focused. We've got a couple examples that we received over the years. So the one to the left is a composite image. We really don't want those. This one was the artist, he actually created a lot of screen print tiles that were integrated into the sidewalk. And he wanted to show us all of the different images, but the panel was really just confused about the image and it just wasn't a good presentation of that. The image to the right, however, one image, clear, we've got some folks in it, engaging. You're also able to see like the shadow that the artwork presents. So we really encourage you to send us really clear, high resolution images, as high resolution as possible. And image annotations. I get a lot of emails about like, what are you asking for? So every image that you actually submit in the portfolio in Slide Room, we want a Word document, it could be a PDF, that tells us about those images. We want to know the title of the artwork, the date it was created, where is it located, just a brief project description about it, the dimensions, we want to know the budget, we want to know who commissioned it. Just provide that. And this is just an example below of what that should look like. That just gives us all of the information about everything you've submitted in one file. And the next slide. And references. References are extremely important because if you are selected as a finalist to come back for an interview, we will check the references. And just from checking references previously, I would recommend that you confirm that, the reference, you may have had them for a really long time. They may not be at the same location. They may have different contact information. Double check that that information is still accurate. And also for your references, make sure that how you remember the project was successful, make sure it aligns with their thoughts on how the project went. Because sometimes those don't align. And I think people don't know, like, hey, I thought it was great, but the project manager or the commissioning agent, they felt there were some hiccups along the way. So you want to make sure you're presenting someone who's going to give you the best reference. So I would just double check that as well. Next slide. That was it. Thank you.
Thanks, Trandella. All right, now time for questions. These can be questions about ASC, about the process of applying or our artist selection process, the process of how we can go through the various design phases and complete the work, which we didn't really go over, but I'd be happy to expand upon. Or most importantly, while you're mostly here, the site itself, the opportunity, the details, things you need to know. Again, this is not a request for proposals, so we're not asking anyone to submit any ideas. We actually don't want to see them. because we would rather you come to this project as a blank slate, work with ASC staff, Mecklenburg County, possibly some community members to ideate and develop your ideas based on the site and the parameters of the work, rather than any information we could give you in an RFQ or RFP. So, but the floor is yours. Feel free to unmute yourselves and just ask, or raise your hand or put it in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. I'm going to keep the presentation up in case I need to refer back to any slides to answer anyone's question.
Randella, you mentioned adding a Word document for each. And is that provided now? Is that supported now in the slide room situation?
It is. Yeah, just one Word document with all of the information about your annotated list of the artworks that you have shown. Because, you know, during the media section, you're able to upload images. And so instead of trying to write in each of those sections, title, you can put the title, but then on your annotated list, you're going to put the title, you're going to put the year, the media, the location, commissioning agent, the budget, and all that information.
I will say,
I misunderstood. Sorry.
I will say though, like, I think you're, unless it's changed, you're given the option of providing a description for each of your images. Being concise there is helpful too, because when we pull up Slide Room, which is the platform we use for you all to apply and for us to review, we're going through those images primarily, and that's what you're being kind of evaluated on. So having a brief little description of what we're looking at to accompany each of those images sometimes is really beneficial. But to Randella's point, Jonathan, this your annotation list, you can be a little more thorough in your description there, and we'll have it all together in case someone wants to know more information.
Great, thank you.
And I will add, because I don't think I mentioned this as well, if you choose to submit a video of interest as opposed to a letter of interest, you'll have to substitute that for one of your images under the media section. You won't be able to actually upload a statement of interest where that attachment is. So just keep that in mind as well.
Right, good point. We have a comment, and then Shalise, I'll get to you in a minute, or a question in the chat. Pathney asked, is this individual artist entry or a team? So teams can submit or apply to this opportunity. How we ask that you do that is there's a lead artist, unless you are like an incorporated like artist collaboration or group, like you work together with such a history and you actually have a business to where you are one entity. We ask that one artist submit as the lead artist, and your collaborators, your teammates, your cohorts, your collective members, however you want to describe them, would serve as subcontractors under you. You can still include images of your collaborators' work in that description box that I had mentioned earlier. Please be very clear in whose work is whose. And when it comes time for your CV or your biography or, you know, statement of interest and things like that, you'll just want to be really clear in how you're defining this relationship and what it would be if you were selected for the opportunity. Chalice or Chalice, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Did you have your hand raised?
I did, and it's Chili's.
Chalice, I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good. Nope, it's spelled like chalice. Yeah, question. If you don't have experience with any large public artwork or wayfinding of any sort, really, can you still apply?
Of course. There is a budget, like look in the RFQ under the eligibility, and I should know it off the top of my head, but
I think it's 50,000.
How much was it, Rendella?
It's 50,000.
So as long as you've completed a project, and it can be a private commission, it can be whatever, as long as you've worked on some project with a budget of $50,000 or more, you are eligible for this opportunity.
So if it's under $50,000, then you're not eligible.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
So another question in the chat, on the site where the artwork needed. Sorry, I couldn't. Let's see. So let me go back over the site. So we have a general location for the artwork, and that is here. This is the Dixon Branch section of the Long Creek Greenway. This is along, I've already forgotten the name. I think it's Northlake Perimeter Parkway. I forget what the Northlake Center Parkway. And this is the unofficial trailhead into this section, Dixon Branch, into the Long Creek Greenway. So the primary areas that ASC has identified with Mecklenburg County are this section right here, which would serve as the main entrance into this greenway. There's also a boardwalk. I could see something happening along the greenway system leading down to the boardwalk, something that serves as an announcement or like a gateway piece, either entering and exiting the boardwalk or anything in between. You know, I try to be creative in terms of writing these RFQs. Our teammates with the Mecklenburg County Park and Rec and Asset Facility Management, we look at this in terms of what we think could be accomplished and what could be accomplished with the budget. But as artists, you all are the creative experts, and I don't take that lightly. So whenever we finally get an artist on board, just know that there's options in terms of figuring out what would be the best fit for this. With the budget, you know, I don't know, I could see this being either one larger, more monumental piece. I'm not opposed to it being several smaller works as well. I mean, we will see. We approach this with an open mind, but that's what this is, the general area, the boundaries in which we're asking artists to consider as they're applying for this. So, and then she says, so it could be a billboard, metal art, or anything, or on the road, anything. I would not get it along the road. We're going to have certain property lines in which we're able to work within, and then right-of-ways. I would keep it along the greenway system, whatever we're working on. It should not, it'll be visible from vehicular traffic if we're working more up in this region, but it should not be anything along the sidewalk or the road. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, worries? Okay. Well, it has been a pleasure. Thank you all for your interest. It's been a good turnout. Hold on, we got one more question. So for engineering and planning part, is that the artist's responsibility? Yes. That is included in the budget, and it will be the artist's responsibility. Unless you're an engineer, it's not your responsibility to directly engineer your work, but we do require that our artists contract with a North Carolina licensed structural engineer for any foundation work or structural work that's needed for your sculpture. So that'll be a requirement. Hillary asked, can we get the presentation emailed? I'm not sure we'll be able to email it to everyone. We may, since we got like your contact info, but I know for sure this is being recorded, and we will put it up on our website. And a lot of thank yous. Thank you all. Is there a set of approached engineers? We do have a running list of subcontractors that ASC's commissioned artists have worked with that we found to be qualified, easy to work with, and have helped us to produce successful projects. So with our commissioned artists, we don't mind sharing those. I mean, those are engineers general contractors, specialty contractors for say contract work or electrical work, fabricators, installers. With almost 190 projects, in 20 years of doing this, we got a pretty good list of people that we can help support our artists with. So, but we're also not opposed to you bringing your own trusted advisors and artists and subcontractors.
So
All right.
Boss's hand is still up. Is that from before?
I'm not sure. Lynn, do you have a question?
I do have a question.
Okay.
I thought I understood the RFQ before, that it was 3 separate sites, and then when I heard you talking, was it, 3 separate budgets? Will you say you could combine the budgets?
It is not 3 separate budgets. It is one budget.
Oh, okay. All right,
yes.
good. Well, that helps
The
a lot.
budget is $131,750.
Okay, good. For some reason, I thought it was 3 separate sites and
Oh, no.
one budget, or 3 separate budgets.
There's possibilities. There's different sites within one branch of this greenway, but there's one budget. So, depending on if the selected artist, how they want to approach it, we're open to different things. The hard things will be, being confined to this physical parameters of this site, safety, of course, budget, and schedule. Those will be the things driving this project to get it done.
Okay. Safety, okay, great. And then did you say you wanted it to be visible from the road?
It doesn't have to necessarily be. There isn't a pretty good opportunity afforded, like up near that trailhead section, to where I think something of a certain scale could be easily visible by vehicular traffic. If you get down further into the boardwalk area, I think the grade change would probably prevent that, unless it was something like up on a pole. So it's not a hard requirement. I think the major experience we want is the pedestrian experience and the experience of
okay.
people using the greenway.
Keep it down at human level.
Right.
Okay.
So really focus on that experience. If people driving in their cars can see it, icing on the cake.
Got it.
I also
All
want to
right.
add, this is Katie with Park and Rec, that this greenway is constructed and open to the public. So if you want to go out there, just head to the Northlake Target, and you can park on the left side of the Target and easily see the entrance and get a better feel for this site.
Thank you, Katie. All right. If there are no other questions, I really appreciate you all spending your evening with us and your interest in the project. As I said, my contact info was shared earlier in the presentation. I mean it. Don't hesitate to contact me or Randella. We'll be happy to help however we can.
We'll email you when the videos are posted to our website. Probably won't be until early next week though. And
Yeah.
don't forget to apply early, because you'll email me and there's nothing I can do.
That's very true. I think our last slide, like bold exclamation point, italicize it, underline it, June 9th at 11:59 p.m. EST is the cutoff. It's through slide room. It's not ASC. We set that time, but if you're trying to upload your stuff at 11:58 p.m. and so many seconds, and your Wi-Fi suddenly goes down and you miss that deadline, there's nothing we can do. So please get it in early. I hate seeing people miss opportunities because some technical thing or whatever in the final hour. I've been there. I know how it goes. So.
And if it is something technical, definitely reach out to Slide Room, not Todd or I, because we can't help you with the technical part of it. It is via email though. So again, I'm not sure how quickly they respond to those email requests. So you can't wait probably till the day of with a question like, how do I do this? Because they may not get back to you in time. So just keep that in mind.
All right. I'm losing my voice, and thanks for putting up with that, everyone. It held on to the very end. So everyone have a good evening. I hope to see you, see your applications. Take care.